Hi, welcome back to Beauty Strategy. I wanted to talk about Airbrush today. The Temptu handheld, powerless, cordless compressor is very popular, and you pop in kind of a pod with color in it. As a professional, I like to use an airbrush gun with a cup that allows me to put in my paints or my makeup foundations and custom mix, but I wanted to try out the pod for myself in my personal kit, and but I didn't want to commit to the Temptu Airbrush system. So what I did was I purchased the converter gun. So here's the converter gun. So this is basically an airbrush gun, and with the attachment for the hose, and then you can take a pod and then pop it in here. They do say about the pods that, oh, no cleanup, it's easy, pop in, pop out. But I did notice that the needle tends to get stuck in here. So every time you use the pod, it's important that you shake the product before you use it, and then after you're done, take a Q-tip and then make sure to clean this area. Even doing that, I often find that the needle gets stuck. Basically, when you pull the gun, the trigger of the gun, it basically moves the needle back so that air can flow and then send the product out with the airflow. What I like to do is I like to take 244 liquid silicone. That's a airbrush thinner. Temptu makes it, or you can use a generic brand, a pro brand. And I also like to take the Q-tip and soak it in that and kind of clean it up and loosen it. And then I also want to double check that as I'm pulling the trigger that the needle is moving. The needle is not moving at this time. Maybe it's my converter gun, that the mechanism inside that isn't working very well, but I just don't find that this converter gun is very well made. This is a plastic, it's not stainless steel, and it just tends to have issues with the trigger. Another thing is when you are using the Temptu system, Temptu tells you to pull this plug out. What I found when you're using it with a traditional compressor and not the Temptu compressor, it's actually better to have it plugged. And then if you find that the needle is stuck, you can take this out, and this component right here is actually going to move the needle back and forth. And so that can help loosen up that needle and the product. And so I can already see some coming out. I also want to take this opportunity to show you my new compact airbrush system that I'm going to be carrying around with me in my pro kit. So when I learned airbrush, I had the Iwata PowerJet Lite. It is pretty big, and it's a powerful compressor, really high quality. But in my first year of doing freelance makeup, I carried it in my kit with everything else instead of carrying it separately. I pulled my back and pulled one of my ribs out of alignment, and so I decided not to carry that one around anymore. When I was at the airbrush shop, the guy recommended to me the Iwata. I got that one because it had a release valve, because sometimes when you don't have a release for the smaller ones, it can build up condensation. It was definitely lighter and more compact, but I have been seeing more and more people using the smaller ones, Luminous, the things on QVC, Air. So I wanted to have a very small, compact one to use. When you're airbrushing, those smaller compressors are not that powerful. They're not as high quality. You can't adjust it that much. But when you're doing a face, you only need about 10 to 20 PSI. So I decided, I'm going to go with the weaker one. It's fine. So I decided to go with Iwata, the Neo Air. And I'm going to show you the components of that. I already have my power supply set up, but basically this is the Neo Air. It's about, my hands are small, but it's the size of my hand. The entire system is about a pound. So I'm gonna put the power adapter in here. One thing I do not like about the Neo Air is the hose system. It has kind of this little nozzle, and it is not really the screw type. So it's basically a flimsy hose end that you're going to attach to it. And I know that the Air system also works that way as well. So I'm going to just attach this off camera. And I have an Iwata Eclipse Airbrush gun. I just wanted to keep to the Iwata brand name because I know that it's reliable, and if I have any problems, I can take it to my local shop and have it fixed. So I'm going to try to put this nozzle back on. It might be helpful to use like super lube or something like that to attach it. And I don't know if you're supposed to attach it all the way in. I can only get it to cover the tip. And the thing about this hose is that if you get a puncture in it, I mean, you basically have to replace it because it is just like a rubbery thin hose. And then it also comes with this removable airbrush gun holder. There are 3 speed options. The end does have a standard, so I'm gonna attach this to my Temptu Converter Gun that I showed you earlier with a pod. I only have 1 pod, and that's for me, my color. This color is number 3, Warm Ivory. It might be a little light for me now as I got a little bit more tan, but we can try it out. Speed 1, speed 2, speed 3. The sounds, I would expect it to go up, but it actually doesn't. So why don't I show you guys a spray pattern on a piece of paper? One thing that I'm noticing now is since there's this matte texture, you get fingerprints. That's one thing that I don't really like, but you can clean it easily with a wipe. I want to make sure that this part is really aligned to this opening right here. And then I also need to push this button and then release. And then it'll hook up inside and you can pull it. Okay, now I'm gonna turn it on. Again, there's 3 speeds. There's this purple blue, then red, and then off. This is speed 1. Okay, speed 2, and speed 3. So it looks like it's low, high, medium. That's really weird. I'm gonna just see how it feels on my hand. So speed 2 seems like it's the fastest, the strongest one. That's really strange. So low, high, medium. It's probably like 10, 20, 15. I'm gonna have to double check the website. And the Neo Air is newer, and I just haven't seen a lot of reviews and even photos on it online. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, let's conceal first. I was wearing glasses earlier today, so I'm gonna conceal this part of my nose and around here, and then everything else I'm gonna airbrush. Okay, I'm gonna take my Artis Oval 3. This is Makeup Forever Full Cover in number 7. Just pat that in. It's like I'm brushing my teeth, but with concealer around my nose. Buffing that in. For some reason, I noticed that I get a lot of creasing around the edges of my nose, so I'm really being careful not to overuse product. I haven't gotten used to like applying this because, as you guys know, it's usually like tucked in. It's still healing in it. Just, ow. Woo! Woo. Okay, I'm not gonna touch that anymore. Woo! Like a little bit of a tear in here. So I'm gonna start off with the highest speed, which I assume is number 2, and then I'm gonna go down to number 3 around my eyes. It's really weak, definitely. I don't think this is 20 PSI. I usually work in 20 PSI for faces. I'm like barely feeling the product come out on my face. Airbrush is one of those things where you get it, it's so natural that you can't see it, and then you go over a little bit, and then it's like already too far over. So it's just like fine line between enough and then like you can definitely see the product. lovely. I just found a blemish right there, so let's try to cover that up. And then this doesn't have like the point precision as much as my airbrush gun does. Normally on clients I can like really pinpoint areas. Sometimes I'm like, is it coming out? I check on my hand, product is definitely coming out. You guys see the coverage building? So I feel like this is gonna take a lot longer to do on my clients. It's nice because it's light and it's relatively quiet, and it doesn't vibrate too much on the table, but man, I kind of miss my other machine. They do also make pods where they're empty and you can mix in them, but as you saw from earlier, there's a lot of issues with the mechanism of the needles, so I just don't think it's worth buying the pod and having to clean it out and customizing it inside a pod contraption. Okay, let's go to the lightest setting and I'm gonna do my eyes. I think before I do that, I'm going to add a little bit of help of some Eve Pearl concealer. This is the light. I'm gonna take the same oval 3 and just kind of dab it in the warmer color. So that is where I have the most kind of like blue green. I think I picked up too much product, so I'm gonna just buff some of it off on a tissue. I'm still trying to find the right color for my under eye, like the perfect color, but this will do. Now, because I was doing the airbrush in such light and fine layers, I won't need to powder too much because it like pretty much already dried on my face. So I need to go back and do some more on my nose. I'm gonna do the third setting. Such little product comes out because it's so weak. I'm just gonna go back up to number 2. Trying to get that redness out of the tip of my nose. I think I'm going crazy. It's not coming out. See that? The needle is moving, but the product is not coming out. Okay. This whole time. So, I'm going to try unplugging this. And let's see if that works. Okay. Pushing, snapping, unlocking, double checking the trigger, take my Q-tip and clean. Let's try it again. There we go. Okay, now I can see it, and now I can feel it. Oh, okay, so number 2 is pretty good. Let's go to number 3. See how I covered that on my nose? So what I like to do is I like to feel the air on the area first. Am I aiming at the right place? And then pull the trigger. So there you go, airbrushing with the Temptu Converter Airbrush Gun with an AirPod and the Iwata Neo Air compressor. If you have a small compact compressor that you like, that you bought on Amazon or QVC or at a pro store, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to know your thoughts about the best compact compressor and also what you think about the AirPod system. Cool, okay, I'll catch you next time. Bye.